The Northwoods of Minnesota is a vast wilderness, featuring sprawling forests and expansive lakes. We're here to explore this frozen landscape, towing our cabin behind us, exploring islands along the way, and tracking down an old abandoned estate. So let's light the fire and settle in. Because this is Tiny Cabin Life. We're in the Chippewa National Forest in northern Minnesota, making our way into a pretty awesome area. It's a chain of lakes, both big and small, connected through hiking trails and portages, and containing tons of remote campsites. And so I'm just out here with my dog, taking things as they come, exploring the lake, and eventually trying to find somewhere to camp. Hey everybody, welcome back. Ellie and I are out on a pretty awesome adventure today. We're out here on this remote lake in northern Minnesota looking for a spot to do some camping with our cabin here. Now, we've been to this lake once before with the boat cabin during the summertime, but I wanted to come back to see if we could find a new place to camp, maybe on an island or on one of the other shoreline camps that are just scattered all throughout this lake. And as you guys can see, I did build this seat or box for Ellie to ride in, and it's been working great. She feels safe in there with the 3 walls. I'm super happy about that because now she can ride along on the snowmobile with me. Now, as you can see as well, I put on some skis over the bike tires here, and they are working out so great. It's such an easy way to convert our cabin here from a bike cabin to a snowmobile cabin, and so far I'm loving it. They're working out just really, really well. Now, before we check out some of the designated campsites on this lake, I think I want to take a look at the island that's just around the corner over here and see if it's possible to camp there. So let's head out. The snowmobile here has made traveling across larger sections of terrain a breeze compared to the bike that I was using all of last winter. It's been an awesome upgrade to our arsenal of adventure tools. Alright, so if you take a look, we've got the larger island here on the left side, and then we've got a smaller one right over there. I think we'll just pull up to this large one, get off, and we can kind of scout it out, see if there's anywhere to camp. All right, let's scope it out. Well, so far at first glance, this island does not look that great for camping. It's very, very thick. And there's actually quite a bit of wetland area on the border here, a lot of cattails. Now this right in here would be a possibility, but it's not ideal. There's all these, trees and shrubs and everything in the way. It would work in a pinch, but we've got other options on this lake. I think we better scope out the little island, see if there's anything there. So far, it's looking very similar. Wetlands, thick evergreens. We could camp out on the ice, but I don't know. I feel like I'd like to have a little more shelter. This certainly would be doable if we had a tent. I just don't think there's gonna be a way to get the cabin up here. If you look, it's just like steep, you know, hills getting up here. There's logs in the way, cattails, trees. It just would be a hassle to try to muscle that cabin up here. Now this is a very beautiful spot and it would be a nice place to eat some lunch. So I think I'm gonna get the sled, bring it over here, and we'll cook a little soup. Up, up. Good job. Feels good to sit down for a minute. Man, oh man. And I'm really hungry too. This is gonna hit the spot. So here's a little hack for you guys. If you're ever using propane or butane out in the cold, it doesn't generally like that. It won't work as well in the cold. But if you keep it in your jacket like this, it's nice and toasty warm and ready to use. Now my soup of choice for the day is going to be chicken and wild rice. Wild rice is a staple of Minnesota. It's grown all over the place here. So I figured it was fitting for today. Dear Lord, thank you for hot food and a beautiful day. Keep us safe. Amen. All right, some good old chicken wild rice soup. That wild rice is a nice change up from the normal chicken noodle soup that I have. It's got a nice taste and texture that makes it just a little bit different. All right, so real quick, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by our long-term partner, Anker SOLIX, and we've got a brand new unit that is changing the game on these more off-the-grid types of adventures. It's the Anker SOLIX C300DC, and what I love about this unit is how small and portable it is, 30% smaller than the industry average. One of the ways that this unit has been invaluable to me is it allows me to keep my cameras and my drone charged up when I'm away from my cabins. And so what I typically do when I need to recharge my drone or something is I will plug it in right here, plug it into our C300DC, close up the backpack, and I can continue hiking, riding, doing whatever I'm doing. This thing can charge so many different things with a massive 300 watt output. It's got 7 ports, 2 USB-A, 4 USB-C, and of course you've got that car socket, which comes in handy quite often. Of course you can charge it up at home, or you can power it with 100 watts of solar during the day. But it also really comes in handy at night. You can see it's got this great camp lantern feature on the top, which is really, really handy when you're out camping. And so if you're interested in checking out the Anker SOLIX C300DC, you can do so by following the link in the description of this video, or I have a pinned comment as well. Now with lunch out of the way, it's time to load up our gear again and find a campsite. this cabin up. So I think at this point, I'm just gonna head to the far end of the lake where I know there's a good campsite that we can pull right into. And yeah, that way we can get set up and keep exploring. Looks a heck of a lot better. I think we'll unload here. See, look how comfy she is. Just gets to relax while we're flying down this lake. I love it. Good job. Good job. Now that we finally found a camp, it's time to set up the cabin. I start by removing the skis from the bike tires so that our jack stands have the clearance they need to hold the cabin up. Next, I drop down the jack stands, and then we can start to unload the gear. I set out our lanterns in front, and then set up the wood stove. All right, this is home sweet home for the night. We got a nice spot for the cabin right here on the beach, and then just up in the woods is a fire ring where hopefully we'll be able to have a fire later on this evening. You know, I was hoping we'd find some hidden gem campsite on this trip, but it just didn't happen. And honestly, I love this site. It's very familiar and it just feels like home. So I'm happy we're set up here. Now that the cabin's set up, I figured we might as well head in and warm up for a bit before we continue exploring. Now that we're off the sled, I can ditch the hood and just put on a normal hat. Oh man, it feels so good to have some heat and to get to relax for a minute. But I know that if I'm not careful, I could easily fall asleep, which would not be good because I really want to go out on this hike. And so what I think I'll do is I'll let this fire burn out, which won't take too long, and then we'll get out and hit the trail. All right, so we are on the trail and we've got 1.8 miles to reach our destination, which is the Joyce Estate, a historic estate that was built in the early 1900s. And it's supposed to be pretty cool to see. There are a bunch of old log cabin structures that are still standing, but then there are also foundations, fireplaces, remnants of other buildings that are no longer standing. So it's going to be a cool thing to check out. Now the estate is on a different lake here. It's on Trout Lake, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from us. But since we're doing this on foot, it's going to take a little while, especially due to this snow. You know, it's kind of like hiking in the sand. You sink in and you rise back up, and it's almost like you're taking 2 steps for every 1 step. However, if you take a look, somebody has been snowmobiling through here, which would be awesome if we could do that. However, you're not supposed to. This is a non-motorized area. And so whoever did this It's technically not supposed to, and so we're gonna follow the rules and regulations here and do it on foot.
The trail over to Trout Lake is fairly flat with only a few hills to climb. But it's certainly a beautiful hike as we make our way through groves of red and white pines, as well as a good amount of hardwood deciduous trees.
Oh, wow. Holy cow, is that beautiful. I've said it many times, there's nothing quite like the beauty of the Northwoods in the wintertime. It's got just such a harsh quality to it, but oh, so beautiful. I love it. This has been just an incredible hike. I was not expecting this stream over here, which we've crossed now multiple times. So gorgeous.
Finally, after a fairly long slog through the snow, some structures of the Joyce Estate began to come into view.
And here we are. Wow. I love this. It looks just like our cabins. It's got the same color scheme. You've got the stained wood, stained logs like at our old family cabin, and then that green trim. So classic looking, and just like fits perfectly into the landscape here. Wow.
The estate here sits on a peninsula overlooking Trout Lake, a fairly undeveloped lake here in the Chippewa National Forest. One of the things that's most notable about this lake is that it has exceptionally clear water, which in the summertime will cast a much more vibrant sky blue color than some of the surrounding lakes. And then on the border is the Trout Lake semi-primitive non-motorized area, which we just hiked through to get here. It offers 6,000 acres of forest and contains 11 lakes. That's pretty incredible.
So the Joyce Estate was built between 1917 and 1935 by David Joyce of Chicago. He had a massive fortune, which he obtained mainly through logging of northern Minnesota up here. And he wanted a place to be able to get away from it all. And funny enough, this area back in the day was a huge resort area due to the railroad between Chicago and Minneapolis and then up towards the Grand Rapids area. And so this place wasn't just his retreat. It had everything you can imagine. It had its own golf course. It had an airplane hangar. It had tons of different buildings and cabins for guests to enjoy. But this one right here, which greeted us as we kind of made our way onto the peninsula, is the Joyce cabin itself. So this is where David and his wife spent their summers. And it's pretty incredible to think that it is still standing to this day. Very cool. What a cool cabin. You can see up there is where the stovepipe, I believe, used to exit. And so this right here, I'm sure was where David Joyce and his wife would hang out, sit around the fire if it was chilly enough to have one. And then they did have one bedroom in this cabin. So this was either the bedroom or they did put in an addition, which was for like a washroom and other things. So this was one of the two. And then here is that other room. Wow. I just love exploring historic places like this because it's so cool to imagine the people who were here back in its heyday, you know, to think of not only the Joyce family, but the guests that would be just running around this peninsula enjoying themselves. To think about all these different buildings and structures being used. It was a time in this country that was vastly different from what we're experiencing today. And I just think it's so fascinating and cool to be able to sort of walk in their footsteps. Ah, man, I really wish we could explore more of this, but we're in kind of a bind here. It's about 4:15 p.m. The sun has either set or it's about to set, and it's getting cold. So we got to make our way back to camp now. And we've got 2 miles to go. So we got to hoof it. It's time to go. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't have more time to spend at the estate out there. That place was so cool. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that we got to see it. It's better than nothing. Wow, take a look at that sky. As much as my bones are aching, it's kind of all worth it to see that. Unbelievable. Oh, we made it. Good job, Elle. I know it was only 4 miles, but man, with that snow and those rolling hills, it took it out of me. Man, am I glad to be back. We're gonna get some water and some food going and warm up inside the cabin. Well, I got a fire started and the cabin is beginning to warm up a little bit, which feels great, but honestly, it feels even better just to be sitting down. Well, I definitely think I'm going to be cooking inside the cabin, which is not ideal because of the tight quarters, but I'll take that over being out in the cold and the dark. So you guys, I was sitting here wondering why I was continuing to feel cold despite being in the warm cabin. And there could be a couple of reasons for that. First off, I think I'm getting sick, which is no fun, but a reality of having a toddler. But the second reason I realized why I was probably staying cold is because I had sweat all over my shirt, my t-shirt here, and then also my fleece here. So that's bad news when you're out in the cold. Thankfully, we have heat in here. You know, if those were my only clothes, I could have dried them out. But thankfully, I have dry stuff here, and it feels so much better having them on. Man, oh man. Well, thankfully, now that I'm in some dry clothes, I think I can make dinner. I fed Ellie outside before we came in, so she's good to go. Dear God, thank you for getting us back safe and sound from that hike. bless this food and help us to be safe tonight. Amen. Well, this worked out much better than I was expecting. We got a nice grilled cheese sandwich with pepperoni, and we have tomato bisque for dipping. And let me tell you, I am hungry. Oh, that is terrific. I feel like grilled cheese and tomato soup is the ultimate comfort food. And let me tell you, this is hitting the spot.
Radar evidence of unidentified flying objects flying due southeast. As of this moment, we have been unable to determine the nature of these objects, but for the time being, in the interest of national safety, we are declaring a state of yellow alert.
Well, I'm just kind of winding down watching an old Twilight Zone. Definitely starting to not feel great, but I did pour myself just a little bit of some High West campfire whiskey. It's making my throat actually feel a little bit better, and just the tiny bit will hopefully help me get right to sleep.
What you're about to watch is a nightmare. It is not meant to be prophetic. It need not happen. It's the fervent.
Well, I think I'm going to hit the hay after this and try to get some good sleep. We'll see you guys bright and early in the morning. Good night.
This is the Twilight Zone.
Good morning, girl. Well, I'm full on sick. Despite that, I actually found a way to get better sleep than last time. I had Ellie on the far side of the cabin, and I was able to stretch out more, and so I actually probably got like 9 hours of sleep, so that was really good. Now, unfortunately, I actually have some stuff, real stuff to do this morning. I have a Zoom call of all things. So we're just going to have some coffee, and then we'll have to get out of here. Just gonna have some coffee, watch the sun come up, and then it'll be time to pack up and head out of here. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Sorry you didn't see me pull up, but like I said earlier, I've got some stuff that I got to get going for. But man, what a great adventure. It was so fun getting out on the lake, exploring it, checking out a couple islands, and then also being able to hike over to the Joyce Estate was such a treat. It's just Such a beautiful place. I want to give a special thank you to our patrons who generously donate to our channel. You guys are the best. But to all of you who watch these videos, thank you so much. We appreciate you and we couldn't do this without you. But with that, it's time for me to get out of here. I'll see you guys next week. God bless.